everybody. How's it going? This is Uche Maple here, your number one leadership and professional development coach. I am so excited today because we have a lot of great information to share in such a short amount of time frame. So for those of you who are tuning in, let us go ahead and tell me, where are you calling from? Not calling from, but where are you? What city and state are you in? And go ahead and drop in a couple of things of what you're hoping to gain from today's session. As always, for this whole month, we are having three major video series that we are going to be dropping that provides more detailed information step by step on how you can stand out in a crowded marketplace. We know that right now there are over 10,000 people who are out of employment for various of reasons, at least. We also know that job requisitions are getting 100 times. If it used to be 50 people applying for a job, it may be 350 now applying for a job. So today's session is to help you get some strategic advantages so that you can stand out in the crowd and stay for the end, because there's an opportunity for you to learn how you can dig in deeper. So instead of it taking 6 to 9 months in order to find a job, let's figure out what are your strategic advantages so that it will take a shorter amount of time and you can find a job that you want in the location that you desire. So let's get started. Okay, I'm so excited. So today's session is about how to find a job in 2025 without the overwhelm. Again, my name is Uche Maple, everyone. I am a retired engineer, program manager within the aerospace and defense sector for the last 22 years. I now own my own consulting firm where I provide, not only do career, but I also do organizational behavior and leadership development training and workshops for employers and staff members. And one of the things that is very critical in the workplace now is career development. But what we're going to focus on today is to help you how to stand out in the marketplace. So I'm excited. Hey, Uche, I see you guys here. Hi. Thank you for joining. I see Silver Spring, Maryland. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Yes, yes. So let's get started. Go ahead, put in what are your top 3 things that you're hoping to gain from today's training. Okay, we definitely want to make sure that we have that information so that we know that you are getting it. So who is this training for? This training is for you if you have been laid off unexpectedly, if you've been applying to dozens of jobs and you have not received any feedback, or you've been ghosted, or you're like, forget it, I'm just overwhelmed, I'm just sick of this. If you feel invisible or out of touch with today's hiring world because it has changed so much. It's even changed from last year, and it has changed all the time. And you want a job search that actually works without being burnt out and overwhelmed, this is who this is training for. If you don't have any issues, if everything is going perfect, this is not the training for you. So as I mentioned before, my name is Uche Maple. I am a retired engineering executive, entrepreneur with over 20 years experience in the aerospace and defense sector. My company is a consulting firm, and we also work with nonprofits where we provide workshops and training and career development to support job finding, mock interviews, and LinkedIn coaching. And if you have not connected with me, go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn right now. Go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. And that way we can stay in communication, because I'm always reposting jobs. People are still hiring. The key is, who do you know is hiring? That's the key. So what are we going to cover today? What we're going to cover today is advice on why the old job search is no longer working, the new approach that's actually going to get you interviews in 2025, and this particular framework on how to apply smarter, not harder. This particular framework is what I use to help clients, especially experienced professionals, in order to in the job market today. Now, I want you to stay to the end, because there will be a special bonus gift for you. If you attended any of my sessions and if you haven't had the opportunity to download or get the information that I usually provide, you now have another opportunity to do so. So make sure you take advantage of each opportunity. And before we get started, here's one thing I want to say. The reality is, in today's market, everyone, you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Let's just make that clear. You have your resume, you have your cover letter, you have your credentials, and it's still not enough. But that's not on you. That's just the current environment that we are in today. And when I say this, you are not alone. You're not alone at all. You're not alone in how you're feeling. You're not alone in your frustration. You are not alone in just the time that it takes in order to do this, because finding a job is like finding a job in itself. So I'm reaffirming what you're feeling. You are not alone. And the reason why I understand this is because I was put in that situation as well. So I don't know if anyone really remember back during the 2008, 2009 housing crisis, when houses, especially on the West Coast, I was on the West Coast, when houses were going for like $500,000 or $1 million plus, and then everything just plummeted. And then in addition to that, there were like crazy amount of jobs that was being let go. I actually did research, and at that time it says there were over 5 million jobs that was let go. People let go between 2007 and 2009. That's how insane it was. And I was one of the ones. I was let go in 2009. And what's interesting is that my story is I was actually on maternity leave. I had just given birth to my son, and I was just so excited. I was excited. Me and my husband, we just had our baby, and I was like, this is good. Life is great. And when it was time for me to go to work, I called my manager up, and he said, Uche, have you not seen or heard what was going on? Now, right, of course, I had seen a couple of things, but I had no idea what was happening at my job. He said, we had to give your job away to your manager. I was like, what? That's how bad it was. My old manager took my job. So they took my spot. And if you can imagine coming from a 2-person household to a 1-person household, insane. And then they gave me a letter that was furlough, which was, we'll call you back when we have an opportunity for you. The company I was at 15,000. By the time I found my other job, they were like close to 7,000. That's how many people that let go. So they put me on furlough. And when you're on furlough, you can't find a job. You just have to wait. And I said, this is insane. Like, I can't even provide for my family. And I was just like panicking. I was telling my husband, we didn't know what we were going to do. He was still working. But again, we're coming from a 2-person household to a 1-person household. And it just had a new baby. So one of the things I did, I was like, okay, I have to start thinking strategically. And the first thing that I did do was I sent a letter to HR, pled my case, and said that while I'm on furlough, I have to be able to make a living for my kids, me and my family. Okay, they provided that. When? Check. But I still didn't have a job. So, Uche, well, what did you do? These are 3 things that I did that changed everything for me. Now, I had always been in a job market, right? I know I had, found jobs in the past, years before I had my kids, but this was different because they were letting people go like crazy back then in 2008, 2009. It was insane. And what was I going to do when, social media we were still trying to figure it out. It was there, but I wasn't really applying. I didn't really use LinkedIn. I didn't really use any third party. What am I going to do in the midst of this? So there are 3 things that I did that changed everything which positioned me and my spouse to find a job together. The first thing I did was I committed to 3 behaviors. I was sitting in my room with my child and I said, what is it that I have to do differently that I've never done before? 3 behaviors that I had to commit to. I said, okay, we have to be flexible. We have to be flexible, Uche. You can't just be committed to this house. Me and my husband had this conversation. We got to be flexible. The second thing was, this is happening, so we have to adapt to the environment that we're in. We had to get mentally prepared, mentally focused in the environment that we were in today, in that moment. And then I was like, I just don't want to apply for jobs. I had to be intentional. Changing and identifying those behaviors changed everything. And once I was able to accept, right? Because that's the thing, we have to be able to accept what is happening to us. I said, okay, let me create a strategy. The first thing I did was I said, I want to stay in engineering, but I need to target these companies. I had 5 companies that I targeted. And the reason why I targeted those 5 companies was because they have multiple sites in different states. I needed a job. Me and my husband, we had to find a job. Like, he was still working, but it was like, if you leaving, we leaving together as a family. So we targeted the states that we wanted to relocate to. Again, new family. We were not tied to, the city. So it wasn't as if we were tied to the city, but we knew the largest goal was for us to keep working. And then I had to open myself up to contractor roles. Contractor roles could be local. So that means that if I got a 6-month gig, I had to do a 6-month gig. That's what it was. That shift gave me clarity, control, and confidence. And do you know what happened? That's where I got my job at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab in 2010, in March of 2010. Just by adapting those 3 behaviors. And I will tell you this, it took 6 months. I'm going to be honest with you. I did go interviewing. I interviewed so much, I was sick of it. And even with the interviewing, I had to be strategic. I only interviewed on Fridays and Mondays. Friday, because it was overnight, right? And if I needed to stay the weekend, I could. And then Mondays, because I can travel on the weekends. So I was very, very clear on what I was doing with this. I did not have the time to just apply anywhere. And on an average at that time, I was probably getting 2 interviews a month. And let me be clear, I was applying on the company's website. And I also went to career fairs as well. On an average, I'm probably saying I was applying to 20 to 30 jobs, maybe a week. A week I was. And back then, there was no auto populate. It was manually typing in all the time, upload my resume, and then I had to do that all the time. But I was committed because it wasn't about me anymore. But that clarity is what shifted for me and the family. And also, and I want to say this, you can do that as well. Because here's what happens. We tell ourselves these false beliefs. The first belief we tell ourselves is, if we apply to enough jobs, something will stick. That's a false belief. Because why it does not work in 2025? The job boards are overcrowded, which I'm sure you have experienced. The applicant tracking system is filtering out most resumes. I had someone say, while they were applying for the job, the company already sent them an email rejecting them, talking about, hey, apply later. This job isn't for you. It's important for us to be strategic. And these generic applications rarely make it past the first screening. If you have met with me already, one of the things I mentioned was there are several different ways on how you can find a job. You got to be strategic. And here's what happens while you're doing that. You feel discouraged, you lose confidence, and you start applying to anything hoping that something will stick. The reality is that we have to move from volume to value. We have to move from volume to value. We want to target fewer roles because we want to make sure the roles that we target, we're being intentional about it. We want to show up as the answer to the problem that the employer needs us to solve. They still, with all of your experience, they still need you to solve those problems. The work isn't going anywhere, right? We just need to shift how you are being presented online. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes, yes? Let me see. That's okay. Yes, I get that. Yes. Okay, that's good. I like to see that. That's excellent. Thank you for sharing. So that's the false belief that we tell ourselves. So we have to think differently in how we're moving. So the truth is, trying to get my stuff together. The truth is that it's not just about applying more. It's about applying with intention. So make sure you have that down is what is my intention when I'm applying? Okay. All right. So the second thing that we are looking at in terms of false belief is that my resume is the most important part of my job search. This does not work in 2025 anymore because resumes, as you're seeing, if you're applying, they're just skimmed through. As a hiring manager, I at least took time, right? I mean, because you have so many, I'm at least, I have the resume and I'm skimming through it, right? So I'm skimming through the resume and I'm looking for keywords. And I at least take about 30 seconds. Listen, it's 3 to 6 seconds right now. And if your resume is not positioned correctly, meaning that those keywords are standing out, it just blends in. But you're here today so that you don't blend in, that you stand out. And hiring managers and recruiters are looking at you. They're looking for they're typing in your name online because they're trying to see what your presence and your communication style, and they're not just looking at your experience. So if you don't have any type of online presence, all they have is just your resume. Think about this. If 10 people apply to a job, right? And out of that 10, 9 people have an online presence. That could be if they are, they've done presentations or they have done like technical papers, or if they're just contributing online, that they have a LinkedIn profile. If 9 of those people have that and yours doesn't, already they're going to put you away and look for that 9. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but that is what they could be doing. Here's what actually happens because why that doesn't work. You spend hours formatting your resume and trying to perfect the document when that's not the most important part. Your applications still go unnoticed, and you start guessing your experience and your value. The truth is, your resume does not speak for you. I look at the resume as a business card. When you meet somebody, you're like, hey, here's my business card, connect with me. That's what your resume is. It's just an introduction, right? Because when you give me a business card, they're looking at it like, oh, okay, well, tell me about yourself. And then that's when you begin to tell about yourself. Your resume is like a business card, but they're skimming through it to see if there's anything relatable. The shift here is that you have to align your resume with the problem that the company is trying to solve. You're going to keep hearing me say this. You are trying to solve a company's problem. It's not just about finding a job. Why should they hire you? So you want to make sure that your LinkedIn is working harder for you because employers do go here first, and you want to focus on value, not task. Here's a quick tip. Make sure you write this down. If your resume does not answer the question, why should we talk to you in 6 seconds or less, it's time for you to reset. If your resume doesn't answer the question why we should talk to you in 6 seconds or less, as I'm skimming through it, it's time to reset. If your resume does not answer the question, why should we talk to you in 6 seconds or less, it's time for a reset. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. I see. Come on, she McChee D is from Silver Spring, Maryland. She understands what I'm saying. Yes, this is true. It is. It's just what it is. And then the third false belief is that LinkedIn is just a digital resume, that we don't put too much effort in it. It's not going to work in 2025. LinkedIn is no longer optional. It's where most recruiter and hiring managers go first. You know why? Because their company is spending money on there. That's why. Their companies are actively spending money to either promote the company, to post their because it pays to post your jobs on there, and then you're actively paying recruiters to find you people. So that's where they go. Your activity, your profile, and your position matter more now than ever. You have to be seen. It is a visibility engine. It's not a static page, it's visibility. And here's the thing, it's beautiful. You just have one LinkedIn page, right? That now you have a digital presence. So when they get your resume, now they have something else to look at you on, but in addition to the interview. Because here's what happens when you don't have it. You have a profile but no engagement. You are relying solely on applying for jobs and attracting opportunities. And how has that been working for you? Right? And you feel like sometimes you're just applying to an empty space. How many of us have just applied and it's like, I don't even know where this goes? The applicant tracking systems that I like for companies, the big ones, is that they show where you are in the progress. So at least you get to see, even if it's saying hiring manager pending or still reviewing, you at least have it. This belief is what's holding you back. It's about LinkedIn. It is one of the most powerful tools in the search. Treat your LinkedIn profile like a living document. It's not a resume because you're constantly updating it. You want to optimize your headline summary. And if your profile right now is not in line with where you're going next, you're going to be sending out the wrong signals. So if you're looking for a project manager role, as an example, that's what you're trying to go to, but it's called something different, they're going to be confused because they're like, these two people don't match. LinkedIn allows you to build your credibility. So I want you to take advantage of it. And one of the things that we talk about in terms of how I help coaches is I show them a framework that positions them to be seen, their resumes to be seen, for them to get an email saying, thank you for applying, let's schedule your resume, that the recruiter is giving you a call, and that you actually show up on site. This is what we're doing here. So the align method is how we assess your direction. What that means is, what is it? What job are you trying to get? How we level up your positioning. How do you stand out? What problem you're trying to solve? How you can make connections. How do you generate strategic activity? And how to have a mindset that navigates differently. So how to level up your position. This is the key right here. Okay. So this is some things that you can implement today. Most resumes talk about responsibility, not results. So what that looks like is, here is a resume that talks about responsibility. Organize program reviews for stakeholders during major events. That's just, okay, you organize. A result is delivered project on time by 2 months and under cost by 150K, and clients, and then your clients order 2 more of those. like something like that, but it's results versus just saying what you do. And then you don't want your LinkedIn profile to look like a timeline, which is, my job is here, da 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 da. You want to make sure that in there you have value statements, and we'll be going into detail what that looks like. But to get noticed, you must position yourself as the solution to the problem your future employer can see on LinkedIn. To get noticed, you must position yourself as a solution to the problem. This is including on your resume too now. Your future employer can see on LinkedIn. Put in chat right now, you're during an interview, what problem do you solve? Like, why should they hire you? Put it in chat. Let me see. Charlotte, I'm going to answer questions in a minute. So put in chat. I want to know, what problem do you solve for your client? While you're thinking about that, we're going to keep going. But this is interesting, right? So when they hire you, they're hiring you to solve a problem, because the quicker you can solve the problem, the more money you get paid. How can you, what problem are you solving? So here are 3 ways to show that you're the solution on LinkedIn. This is what I talked about. These are 3 ways to show that you're the solution on LinkedIn. This is why when you submit your resume and they see you on LinkedIn, they're going to say, yep. Green Tea is the person that we want to hire. Yep. Green Tree. Shaletta Jones is the person we want to hire. Yep. She's McChee. D is the person that we want to hire. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna keep I'm gonna work on that. So here's the first thing: your headline. Your headline should go beyond your title. Here's an example of a young lady who is she's a LinkedIn expert that teaches people just how to set up their profile. So as you can see, LinkedIn trainer. She said, I'm LinkedIn trainer and coach. Immediately, if you're searching, think about this. If you are an employer and you're looking for a LinkedIn trainer, you're putting that in there, and that's what it is. And then she also says she's a workshop facilitator. Think about it this way, if you're a project manager, you put project manager. I can just say, McChee, thank you. Appreciate that. If you are a project manager, it'll say project manager / right, schedule and budget analyst. I'm going to assume you do that / and then you say, I manage I manage projects and teams to deliver products on time and within schedule, plus or minus 10%. Boom. What? You deliver products on time, plus or minus 10% from the time it's due and under cost, and you don't go above 10% or lower than 10%, and you go under than 10%, it makes you stand out. So you want your headline to speak for you, and it's going beyond your title. Okay, everyone, we're digging deep. The second thing you can do is you want to show you're the solution. When you're looking at, you want to show impact, not task. Employers do not hire you to do tasks. They hire you to solve problems. When I was working at a major DoD company, they would bring teams called red teams. Red teams will come in because they execute very quickly, and they're behind schedule. And I was part of a red team as a systems engineer. What would happen was, on this particular project, the team was just not operating in alignment. They were just behind schedule. And what we came in to do is they perform an analysis, a diagnosis, and then from there, our job is to identify, especially your role, what is it that you can do to bring them back on schedule. So they brought me in because one of my skills is being a leader. It is bringing a team together so that we are rallying up the team so that we can understand the end goal. So they brought me in to rally the team to get everyone back on schedule. What do they hire you to solve? And you look for this on your LinkedIn profile. You know, in your About Me section, you say, hey, I'm all this, da 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 da. Then you put in the problems you solve. And this particular person, they said, looking for a social media expert to lead a workshop or training. That's what she solved. She says, I lead dynamic and informative social media workshops. She's telling you what she does. And then she has on her who her past clients are. And her call to action is let's chat. The second thing she says, do you want to level up your LinkedIn? She said, I implement a makeover of your LinkedIn profile from cover photo to experience section. After we work together, you'll have more clarity about the value you bring to any company or client so you can position yourself to make more money. Head over to my feature section to book your package. She's telling you where to go. As an example. And even looking for a results-driven social media strategy. Let's just say project manager. Looking for a results-driven project manager. I deliver projects on time and within schedule to help my clients meet their deliverables for employee engagement or for if there's a deployment. And then they have on here, what are the deliverables? Because now you can see, oh, okay, well, you actually deliver this. And as a project manager, you're delivering cost sheets, you're delivering schedule sheets, you're delivering PowerPoint presentations that you're presenting to the customer, right? You're presenting that schedule. There are certain things that you're presenting. But when you look on here, now you can identify exactly what they do. Because if you think about it, you have a resume and it's only 2 months. You can only do 2 pages. LinkedIn allows you to expand that. So they get to know you and they get to reach out to you. And guess what? Here's the key. It's what makes you different. How many of your competitors you think that's trying to go for the same job you're going for is doing this? You stand out. Employers don't hire you for tasks. They hire you to solve their problem. You want to make sure your stuff tells a story. And the third way you can show that you're the solution on LinkedIn is you want to speak their language. You want to speak their language. You want to mirror the words and phases that company use in their language for job descriptions. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick because I'm going to bring up LinkedIn for a real live demonstration. Companies want to know you. It's weird, right? It's a sound. I say this. They want to get to know you more than just your resume. And because of the digital presence now, they want to know how you are on social media. And let's bring this up. So when you're using the language. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share LinkedIn as an example. So here's LinkedIn. And this is an example. This is something for a career fair. But when you go to the search function, let's just go to jobs, for example. And I am clicking on project manager. Did you see that? It says project manager. Can you see that? Oh, right here it says 240 new in Maryland. That's interesting, right? So project manager. Now let's identify, let's say within the past week. So the default is going to be Maryland. So you see these jobs, Paraton, this is real, it's on site, full-time. It tells you people, it says people you can reach out to. Look at that. And it shows you people who graduated from my alma mater, Johns Hopkins University. I can reach out to these people. It's just a connection. And it tells me their second, third connection. And it's saying they're looking for an experienced project manager for the cybercom team, the United States cybercom team. And it's on site at Fort Meade. So if you are looking for a project manager job, but you call yourself a program coordinator, like it says right here, it's out of alignment. You have to use the same language. And typically with project managers, it's typically the same thing where you're doing, end user support, you assist with the preparation of materials. They have the degree here. Look at this. They're saying they just want you from accredited university. Business, econ, political science, look, law. They're like, whatever you got. And they're looking for you to have an active TS clearance. So the aerospace, let's look at this one, the aerospace coordinator position. They're saying that these are the people in my network. It's a hybrid, it's full-time. 3 days ago. Don't get discouraged when you see 40 people click apply. That's the key. On Glassdoor said they did a survey last year. This is the end of last year, December 2024. They said 66% of people do not fill out the entire application. Green Tea, I'll answer your question in a minute. That's a good question. But they do not, 67% people don't fill it out because they're like, I'm not going to go fill out that application. So they abandon it. So out of this 45 that might apply, maybe only 5 filled it out. So don't get discouraged when you see this. That's my point. And then there's giving you the requirements. Look at that, program manager, but it says project manager, staff, business administration. It's telling you its work model, and it's telling what you'll be doing. And then it says what you need to be successful. Some of these words are really redundant. Don't get discouraged. But my point is you also have to make sure you're using the right title. And here is how you can do that. Here is a secret. Please don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody this. Okay. I want you to go to write this down, net. ONET is a very, very powerful tool. I am giving you this. I normally only reserve this for people who work with me in the one-on-one coaching. But ONET is a very, very powerful tool. ONET is so powerful. Like anyone who uses it, they find jobs that normally people can't find. The reason why ONET is powerful is just like when you ask, a person who used to do this type of work, but are now looking for direct practice social work at hospitals. I got your answer right here. You put in social work. Let's just do it. Social work. They're called social workers. And you search. And it says it's a bright outlook. You see that? It's telling you that for social workers, it's growing more than the average. 6% more for the next 10 years. That's awesome, right? So we see that. It's telling you your credentials. It's telling you the training. It's giving you the wages. This is how much it is. And then look, job openings on the web. Put in Maryland if that's where you're trying to go. You click on it. No job openings were found in Maryland. That's interesting. Social workers, all other. Social worker. So what I like about this is that you see here where it says it has all the different types of social workers, and each one of them are different. You have to decide which one are you going to focus on. So let's just click on the mental health and substance abuse social worker because that has a bright outlook. When we click on that, what I like about ONET, it says sample of reported titles, which is one of the things that I was giving you to say that's one of the secrets, is that you have to make sure that the title is in alignment with the company. And also, when you're applying for jobs, they all have different titles that may do the same thing. Please don't tell nobody I'm telling you this. Like, this is a bit secret here. I tell people who I work with this information, and it tells you the tasking, it tells you the skills, which is awesome because if you're like, well, I want to add the technology skills that I'm working on, these are some of the tools that they use. And you could add this on your resume. So it talks about work activities, what it does. So let's scroll down. Training credentials, we're going to scroll down. It's telling you the education. And now we're going to look for jobs as an example. And look at this. This particular one, it says it's growing higher than the average, 9% or higher. The projected job openings is expected in the state of Maryland is 11,000. So let's click on it. What did I click on? I must have clicked on the wages. Sorry. Let's click on the job openings. This is interesting, right? The Veteran Affairs. Oh, that was gone. Okay, now that makes sense. United Health Group is looking for a remote, 1099. West Care Foundation. So you're like, well, Uche, how do we know these are real jobs? Hold on. We're in May. Sorry. So yeah, I know they are. The Kennedy Kruger Institute. They need a lot of people. You can't get a clearance, Valerie, without being sponsored. You have to be sponsored. Valerie's question was, a fair number of jobs require clearance. How can I get a clearance without being sponsored by a company? You cannot. They have to sponsor you. Green Tea asks, how do you message for fire feds who used to do national policy program in healthcare, but now looking for direct practice jobs? So, I'm going to assume your question is that it doesn't matter if, no problem, Valerie, you're welcome. Valerie says, thank you. So it says, how do you message for fire feds who do, if you're going for a social worker job, you got to have social work experience. And if they don't match, it just doesn't match. That's not the area. That's just the reality. So if you're doing national policy, if you're doing program and project management in the healthcare agencies, the way you need to figure out is, what do they call it in the health agencies? And what company? You said how to message on LinkedIn in the headline or the message part on LinkedIn. When you say message, you're talking about this. So if you're trying to connect with somebody, let's say I want to connect with Dupe. Let's just say I want to connect with this person here. You go to hear more and you go to connect, and then it says add a note. That's how you message. And when they connect, you can send them a comment, because here in messaging, I connect with all these people and I can send them a message. That's how you send a message. It's through connection. Okay, I hope that helped out. Yeah, so no, it's an actual part, a feature in LinkedIn where you connect with the person, then you message them. Okay? All right. You meant the language on how to promote yourself? So we'll go back to that. So that's what I talked about before. So here's my profile here. Here's my headline. So if someone is searching for an organizational consultant, that's me. A systems engineer and people leader in aerospace and defense sector, that's me. A Gallup certified coach, and then a keynote speaker. And then from there, I have my part, like, here's my name. This is what we do. This is what we create. And here's the call to action. And I have all of my services here. And then here's my experience, right? So it says, I'm giving a story. This is what's happening in the world today. Here's what's, this is what's going on. When you want to work with us, your business is expanding into new markets. We help you manage. Got it. Very good. Okay. So that's how you are differentiating yourself on LinkedIn, is by doing those 3 critical things that I had just mentioned earlier. And that's how you're able to stand out, is by doing a headline. I'm going back to present, share screen. So it's going back to make your headline speak for itself. Your title goes beyond it. You want to show that you're providing impact. And then the language that you use, you want to make sure that the jobs that you have on your resume or LinkedIn is in alignment. So you're like, well, Uche, where do we go from here? Okay, we got this. Now what happens next? Well, it's pretty simple. Here's what I say is that you don't need more jobs. You just need a new strategy. You don't need more job boards, excuse me. You just need a new strategy. When I got laid off and when I relocated based on that strategy, even just to let you guys know, even though it's a hard job market right now, you do know that people are still getting salary increases. So if they're making $100,000 and they get a job where they're showing value and solving a problem, they can request 125K. Do not get it twisted. Companies hire for value. They hire for value. And you just need a strategy on how to get there. So if you're ready to find a new job today, here's your opportunity where you can work with me. Just because of everything that is happening right now, I have reduced my rate a lot, but that's because we need more people in the workplace. And I just want to say that you're not too late. You're not behind. You are where you need to be. The fact that you're here today shows a lot that you're really, really ready to take yourself to the next step, and that you're pretty frustrated and tired of applying. And you're at a moment where you need the right strategy and you need a breakthrough. So let's just rebuild your job search with intention. And the one way on how you can work with me, is we're going to put in the, where are you? In the comments here, I'm going to give you 2 things. One, the comment I'm going to post is how you can work. You should see it in comments. Oh, it's saying, okay, yep. You should see it in the real-time comments on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, you should see it in the real life comments feed. You can click on there for working with me. But in addition to that, if you do not have a LinkedIn the LinkedIn playbook, I'm going to give you this as well. And that LinkedIn playbook is what's going to position you. It walks you step by step on how you can, some of the major points on what you need to update on your LinkedIn profile. Let me see if I have it in my slide deck. And this is what it looks like right here. The LinkedIn playbook. Hold on, I'm not sharing. Sorry about that. The LinkedIn playbook is a step-by-step instruction. Well, we're here is you need a profile, provide you what it's small. I get it, but it has the profile. It has tips on creating a profile. It has tips on how to do a job search, and that's in the real-time comments. Let me know if you got that. Just say yes if you actually see the real-time comments, because I want to make sure that you are able to get the link. Okay, so we have a couple of minutes for Q&A sessions. What kind of questions do you have? What type of questions do you have? Thank you, Charlotta. Thank you very much. They are working. Definitely appreciate that. Have a couple of minutes. Anyone have any comments or any questions? Is there one thing right now? What's the one thing that's stopping you from getting the job you want? You don't see the LinkedIn book? Are you clicking on the this is what it should look like. You have to put in your email address. My sessions are 50 minutes long. Valerie says, how long are the sessions? Each session is 50 minutes long. Shaletta, you're saying that you don't see the LinkedIn? So Green Tree said, under the job title on LinkedIn, do you recommend listing accomplishments, bullets, skills, both? Under the job title, do you recommend listing no. If I'm hearing you correctly, you mean under your headline? Under your headline? Your headline is about you, and it should talk about the value, right? So the accomplishments is going to go into your about me section and or into your experience. Oh, not the headline. For the job posting, under each job title, do you recommend listing accomplishments? For each job posting, I'm like, you're back to back. I'm like, okay, what's the question you're asking? So not the headline, but for each job posting, do you recommend listing accomplishment bullets, skills? Yes, the answer is yes. Listen, she's like this, that, yes, it is the experience section. Yes. List your accomplishments. List the value. I provide, I do, I did, I led, the results was this. You want to use those impactful statements that talks about the value you bring. That's the key. In the experience section, yes. What is the second best website after LinkedIn to find a job? The company website. Remember I said, I was like, what did I do? I did when I got laid off after my child, Sam. I don't know if he was here for that. I said, when I got laid off while I was on maternity leave, I said, I did three things. I changed my behaviors. I was going to be flexible, adaptable, and intentional. And with those three behavior shifts, I targeted 5 companies. I targeted the states I wanted to live in. And every day that they put a rec up for a systems engineer job, because that's what I was looking for, with the salary that I wanted, those are the jobs I applied to. On an average, I applied, depending on how many they were doing, anywhere between 20 to 30 jobs a week. And I said I was strategic too, because I only went on the interviews on Fridays and Mondays. But because of my constraints, let me say this. Because I only interviewed on those days, that was one reason why it took so long. And of course, too, because we were moving across state, and here's what happened with that. When they hired me, they were like, hey, we want to bring your husband on. And they hired my husband too. So me and my family, with our baby, we left from the West Coast and we moved all the way to the East Coast. And that was the best decision that we've ever done. Okay, come on, Charlotta, let's do it. Let's do it. So let's make that 5 months into 2 months. I'm excited to be working with you. Yeah, let's do it. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? Because it's time for the session to end. So again, we have 3 more sessions coming up in terms of live series, and we're going to be going through each point and what we're going to be talking about so that you can be doing it real time so that you don't have to wait. But if you want to speed up your process right now, the best time is to get in right now. Go ahead and get in if you want to do one session so that you can see what it's like. I always tell people, $40 right now, that's what, a week's worth of coffee. So if you want a week's, if you can go without a week's worth of coffee, Dunkin' Donuts and all that, you good. So that way you can buy more coffee after you get your job. So absolutely. Okay, everyone. Absolutely. Green tea, thank you so much. Sam, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. McChee, appreciate it. Green tea, thank you. Everyone have a good one. And Charlotte, I look forward to working with you. And let's go get that job. Talk to you all later. Bye.